We're here at AirVenture Oshkosh. We're in the ultralight area, which we love to come to. And we love it because we get to talk about some really cool airplanes, including ones like this beautiful Revo that I find personally to be one of the nicest trikes in the whole world. But this particular interview is not about aircraft. We're going to talk about them. This one's about Amy Saunders, and it's my pleasure to talk to you today. We want to ask you about your flying background, and we want to hear about your trip up here. But the reason why we're doing this is because there's just not enough women in aviation, and we want to help promote that. So here's one that is deep in it. Give us a little bit of the background, Amy.
Well, actually, I started off as a fixed-wing pilot, and Larry Mednick, who makes the Revo, his father, Phil Mednick, taught me how to fly.
Ah, okay.
And so when I was flying...
Did you do that in the Apollo Fox then?
Yes, I did, actually.
Okay.
Yep, I flew in the Apollo
So we won't
Fox.
hold that fixed-wing stuff against you.
No.
But,
and I also had a plane. I had a Pulsar XP, which is like a little mini Lancer. And so that was my plane. And then Larry took me for a flight one time, and I thought it was okay. And he put me in the front seat of one of the Revos that debuted in 2009. And I took off, and I barely got a foot off the ground, and it was amazing. And it
was like a
me.
conversion, huh?
It was. It was the first time I actually really, truly felt like I was ever flying. And I never felt that in an airplane. As much as I enjoyed flying the airplanes, it always felt like I was flying an aircraft instead of me flying. So I got really excited about it, and then they asked me to start doing some of the design work for him, and he twisted my arm into doing the original Revo t-shirts, and that's how I learned how to fly, so we bartered.
Ah,
so
I see, okay. All
that's
right.
the way I
a good old American
I
tradition
couldn't
there, I
afford
like
him,
that.
he's expensive.
Yeah, right.
He's good, he's worth it, but I couldn't afford it. So
well,
that's how
found
we
a way,
ended up
so
bartering.
good for you.
Yep, and so I've been involved with Evolution Aircraft ever since then, and I've been flying the Revo since 2009. I became a Trike pilot in 2010, and so it's been
kind of
awesome
never
ever
looked
since.
back, huh?
Nope, never looked back. This is my second time actually flying from Tampa to Oshkosh, solo by myself. The first time was in what we call Zilla, and this one's Zilla 2 that I'm flying this time. So
well, let's back up a second and go Tampa, Florida to Oshkosh.
Yes.
That's air miles. That's got to be in the range of, I don't know, 12, 13?
Yeah, it's about 1,200.
That's a pretty long
miles.
flight.
Yep.
Frankly, in any kind of aircraft.
Yeah.
And there are some people that will say, well, you know, how do you go that far in a trike? Doesn't it take like days and days and days? So tell us how the experience was, Amy, to get up here in the Revo.
Well, it's been pretty amazing, actually. The Revo really handles the different temperatures and weather and conditions really, really well, especially when there's crosswinds and gusts and stuff like that. We really try to flight plan and lay out a general plan, and then we moderate it from there. I should say deviate it from there.
Well, you have to conform to the conditions,
exactly.
which you can plan as well as good you plan. Of course, everybody should do that. But no matter what you plan, Mother Nature throws a curve at you now.
Exactly.
And they did on the way up here, I'm told.
They did.
Tell me about that.
The first day actually went really well, and we actually made it all the way to Talladega, which was in Alabama, which is our first stop.
That's a pretty good lift right there.
Yes, and we were collecting our friend Lee, who was going to be flying with us. And then the second day didn't go so well. We ended up hitting a lot of headwind, so we had 20 mile an hour to 45 mile an hour headwinds. Whoa. And so we decided to stop early that night since we were getting nowhere fast. And so we said, all right, we're going to take a break, get a good night's rest, start over in the morning. The next day was great, and we made it all the way up to to Rochelle, Illinois, where Wingfest was.
All right.
So we went to Wingfest.
The thing we used to know as Trike
Oshkosh.
Fest, I think, and
yes.
now it's kind of reconfigured a little bit.
Exactly.
I'm told got even more interesting.
It is. They had an Avenger there. They had a helicopter. I got to fly a helicopter.
Yeah,
that
cool.
was really awesome.
All right.
And so I really enjoyed
we won't
that.
hold that against you either, but
I like the helicopters. They're cool.
I'm just kidding, of course.
You know, aviation, that's what aviation is about.
Yeah,
it's
good
not
for you.
necessarily what you fly, it's just be able to get up in the air, enjoy it, be passionate about it, experience it. There's so many different types of flights. And I got to fly the Rev, the all-new Part 103 from Evolution Aircraft. I got to fly that just before we left for Oshkosh.
All right.
And it was amazing. I mean, just
so
amazing.
compare the two for me, since I haven't got. We did a video about Rev, and I love the concept, and I have flown the Revo.
You would really love the Rev.
I bet I would.
know
So
you would.
give me a comparison of the two for me.
Well, the Revo is absolutely a lot faster. You can cruise between 55 up to 105, literally, depending upon what conditions you're in. I mean, that's what I was doing when we were flying up here from Tampa. But the Rev is totally different. You want to be able to go ahead and fly in lighter winds. You don't want to have really any wind if you can, but it's morning and evening type of aircraft.
Just a joy machine.
Exactly. Now the Revo, you feel like a bird, and you can rail, and you can fly, you can have lots of fun with the Revo, you can go cross country and all that good stuff. The Rev, however, you want to drag your tires through the grass, you want on, you feel like a butterfly.
It's just a
when you're
whole,
flying
yeah,
it.
that's a great analogy.
And it really does, and it's just light and it's easy and it's just fun to fly. The wing was much more agile than I expected. It was just so nice, and having nothing at all in front of you was outstanding. So I went from one extreme to the other, and I loved it. Larry was laughing. I actually guess I screamed when I first took off because I thought it was so awesome. So he was laughing at me.
Well,
so
good
that
for
was
you.
pretty cool.
That kind of enthusiasm is both infectious and wonderful to see in
was
any
awesome.
pilot. But
It was
how come do you think we have so few gal pilots, and how can we get more of them, Amy? What's your thought about that?
My experience with, especially at all these air shows that we go to every time, you know, you always have the guys mostly coming up and asking questions about the different aircraft or whatever. And the women just kind of stand there on the side, and I always try to talk to them and say, hey, don't you want to get into aviation? And it's either A, they're scared of heights, 2, they're really not interested, or 3, you know, it's a family thing. You know, they have kids.
They feel they
and
have other
age group.
duties and responsibilities.
Right. And they say, you know, 1, taking a risk is enough. But, you know, I really tried to motivate the girls anyway that fly with the guys to at least go take lessons and get prepared and
Great
understand and know how to fly an aircraft. And that way, in case something should ever happen, God forbid, to whoever is the pilot, they'll be able to at least take the controls and keep them safe, hopefully.
Well, and maybe get them somewhat invested in the product, in that they go up and they go, you know, I may not want to do that myself, but I see why usually he does. Now, there are a few different situations where the gal is the pilot and the guy doesn't fly.
That's true.
That's a little more rare. In fact, that's pretty rare.
We found a couple of them.
Yeah.
We've actually found, and it was great because there was a couple that came here, and it was really neat because they were asking about the revs specifically, and it was really neat to talk to them. And it turned out that she was a pilot, and I was like, really? I'm like, high five.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to be able to see somebody that was interested in trikes, and they come from, you know, Cessnas and Archer. I think they actually have an Archer, and that's what they're flying. So it was really neat to see them be interested in something like the trikes because it's so different.
Right.
And she's a girl. So I thought that was just brilliant.
Really
you know?
fun,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, you know, I really do wish that there was more female pilots, and it's exciting. And I don't think, you know, I think growing up as girls, you know, I'm a little different, I guess, because my parents let me grow up more like a boy than a girl, in the sense of I've always liked cars and dirt bikes, and I used to race drag cars and all that good stuff when I was younger. And so I think that being raised like a girl, in the sense of, you know, girls aren't encouraged to go out and get dirty and muddy and go play and have fun and be into cars or mechanics or fly. You know, it's just, I think it's more society in that sense that doesn't encourage it so much. But you see a lot of changes, you know, especially with the drones and everything that are coming out, and with the RC. You know, it seems to really be awakening a lot of people into aviation, and I think that'll really help encourage women to get into aviation.
Well, all very well said, Amy. That's great stuff. Now, you flew this thing all the way up here, 1,200 or so miles, fought some headwinds, fought some weather, all the rest of it. You gonna take it easy going home, airliner, or are you gonna fly it all the way back too?
No, flying it all the way home.
All right, there
Everybody
you go.
picks on me because I put my backpack in my back, I strap my teddy bear onto it, and then when I'm flying and it's...
So you're flying
cruising,
two-place then?
Yeah, I'm
I
flying
see,
two-place. But it's Pooh Bear in the back, you know, so he doesn't talk too much. He's one of the best, you know, people that I've had in my
Never
back
gets
seat
upset.
before. No, and he tells me that I do a good job every time I do a landing, even if it's not perfect. But no, it's really neat because, you know, we can set our cruise control, so sometimes at night when it's starting to get a little bit later and everybody else gets to talk to somebody, I actually kick on an audio CD. So I love Harry Potter, so I listen to my Harry Potter audio CDs.
Fun. Well, I'm glad you're having that wonderful experience. Your smile is contagious. One more thing before we wrap it up, I want to ask you about participating in Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
You're going to do that later. Tell us just in a few sentences what that's all about.
It's really neat. We have a lot of the kids, and we do it every year. And the Make-A-Wish kids are going to be coming. They look at the aircraft, and if they're interested in it, we actually have 4 aircraft that are going to go up in this year, which is really exciting. So if they're interested, they can go ahead and go for a fly, or they can. We have the Rev actually over on the field, so they can actually crawl into that, get into it, feel what it feels like,
just
put the wing in their
it
hands,
a little bit
and get
that
to
way.
enjoy it more so that way.
Well,
so
that's very
really
good.
exciting.
Thank you so much for those challenged kids. My goodness, I don't know what that can be like, but at least they're getting something extra in their lives, and thank you for participating in that.
Well, thank you, Dan.
All right,
I appreciate it.
A lot of great information here, Amy.
Thank you.
Tell us how we find more about the airplane products and can contact you through the company. Just give us a web address and we'll put it up for everyone.
Oh, sorry. It's evolutiontrikes.com.
All right, pretty simple. Lots more I've written about, I think, all the Evolution Trike line. I haven't gotten to fly that Rev yet, but that'll come soon. I'm looking forward to that. Lots of that and much more affordable aviation available on buydanjohnson.com. Thanks for joining Amy Saunders and myself here in the ultralight area of AirVenture Oshkosh.